You know, I never sought to be an economist. I never will be an economist. But boy, oh boy, if I've learned anything the last 2 years, folks, it's that I know now what the number one driver of inflation is. And it is price pressures driven by salaries and wages. Price pressures are driven by wage pressures. And here we go. And so in my desire to be a man of the people, by the people, for the people, Home Depot has announced that they will spend $1 billion to give hourly workers a raise. Now, Home Depot did not disclose what their new average wage for employees would be, but it did say every market starting wage is at least $15 an hour. And this is another sign of what we know to be true, that when you have a 3.5% unemployment rate, and that's what we have in America right now, and you got the feckless Fed chair who was trying to drive unemployment up. I mean, he was saying things he'd like to see unemployment in the fives. Absolute moron. He's raising interest rates, and it's not touching inflation to the level that he would like it to. Now, there are some positive signs. Obviously, we've seen some, but we're not seeing it happen to the level that he wants it to happen. Well, and this is what happens when you've got a huge gap in the job market. You got to let it cycle its way out. You don't add problems like interest rates going up, because that's not changing Home Depot's mind. Home Depot's going, we know how tight the labor market is, and we're trying to hire a lot of hourly wage workers, folks. They're trying to hire people who are looking for an hourly job, don't need a degree and all the other things, and they need people with a smile, an orange apron, and walking the aisles. So what do? They make a big, huge public announcement. This is a PR move designed to retain people and recruit people. That's what this is. Big, bold number. $1 billion. I got my Dr. Evil face. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. They're like, pay attention, everybody. We're going to spend $1 billion more on wages. Why are they doing it? Retention and recruitment. What does that mean for you? Nothing in the press release of the story, nothing at all from the CEO that says, hey, to all of our loyal customers, we're not going to raise prices on the two-by-fours. Nothing in this story at all about keeping their prices the same. What are they going to do? Next time you got to go get a little bag of screws that you can never find, you got to go to that frickin' aisle with 8,000 baggies of screws. It's. I got to tell you, it's purgatory for me. My eyes roll back in my head. I got to FaceTime Joe Hankin and go, Joe, where am I looking? I got to interrupt him on his Saturday. He's trying to mind his own business. They're going to raise prices on all their stuff, and they're going to pass it on to you. So just be aware. That is Exhibit A on inflation. Hey, how come that two-by-four cost $1.50 more than it did last week? Because, Junior, they're paying everybody else more. Now, here's what's interesting. Several big-name tech companies, including Google and Amazon, as I've reported on the show, have laid off thousands of employees and done it very poorly. Here's what's interesting and an actual good sign, despite Jerome Powell and his bevy of buffoons. Retailers, restaurants, and the hospitality industry as a whole has not laid a bunch of people off. And they've even announced plans to hire or boost pay. Walmart, the nation's largest private employer, recently announced it would raise its minimum wage to $14 an hour for store employees and have an average U.S. hourly wage of more than $17.50. So again, hey, babe, didn't I pay $7.99 for that Fruit of the Loom package of underwear and T-shirts the other day? I'll be dadgum. It cost me $9.99 this week. Well, again, Junior, your Fruit of the Loom undies are going to cost a little more because they're paying the gal or the guy who's stocking them more money. This is how it got. Hey, and I don't begrudge companies paying more money, but just understand that these companies are in a for-profit business. So you don't like inflation. You know what you ought to do, Junior? Wear them Fruit of the Looms with the holes in them a couple more months. If we just as consumers went on a national spending freeze and only went to the basics and made more with what we had, you know what these big old companies would do? They'd drop prices. Why? Because they got to get you back in. I'm just putting it out there. Hey, a little uncommon sense for you today. I'm telling you, 60 days, national campaign. Dave Ramsey ought to do it. 60-day spending freeze in America, right? Meaning only the basics, make your groceries. Everybody goes to the grocery store. Everybody goes and gets their gas. And you know what we try to do? We try to stretch for 2 months, barely spending anything. Watch what would happen. Be a national emergency with all these big old companies. Now, here's another fun little note in this article that I just have to point out. Chipotle Mexican Grill said it wants to hire 15,000 restaurant workers ahead of its busy spring season. So Chipotle's feeling good. These people aren't idiots. People want to go eat. So can I just tell you something? This is my example. And I didn't mean to say this, but I'm actually as serious as I can be. We, the people, have so much power, and we don't use it. And we let these companies just keep charging us extra money. They're making raises happen. I get it, because they need employing people. But they're not hurting. They're making money. Chipotle raised the cost of your queso and chips and your burrito. They did. And you know what you did? Oh, man. All right. I'll take that steak burrito. I'll tell you what, hold the extra avocado. Companies are going to pass wage pressures, hourly and salary money that they have to pay to people. They're going to pass it on to you until we, the people, go, no, I'll make my own freaking steak burrito. But we, the people, just walk along like zombies. Bean burrito. I'll pay the extra. Dadgummit. We go home and complain about it, but we don't do anything about it. I should be the Fed chair for one day. One day, I'll be the Fed chair. I just stop all this nonsense. Stop all the raising of the interest rates. And I'd have a big, giant press conference. I'd tell the American people, hey, we're going to fix inflation. And so what we're going to ask you to do is cut your household spend by X amount of dollars. And let's watch what all these big old companies do. He could say that. Nah, he's not going to say that. That's too simple. That's too dadgum common sense. Supply, demand. You learned about it in what? I don't know, the 6th grade, maybe 7th grade. You forgot it. But that's where we stand. So, hey, I'm all for these Home Depot workers making more money, but the Home Depot workers making more money, the Walmart people making more money. You know what you need to do? Don't spend it. Hold on to it. Save it. Stretch those groceries. Make all these big companies go, whoa. The American consumer is no longer spending like a drunk sailor. We should probably lower our prices to get them back in the door. Interesting concept. But I'm afraid we won't do it because we're addicted to consuming.